The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. This is the third movie in the Hobbit trilogy. And for those of you who don't know, the Hobbit trilogy is a prequel trilogy to Lord of the Rings. So it ties into that movie series. I was a big fan, and still am a big fan, of the second Hobbit movie, The Desolation of Smaug. I thought that was as good as, if not better, than any of the Lord of the Rings movies. I was really impressed by that movie, particularly watching it in high frame rate 3D. If you ain't seen The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug in high frame rate 3D, then you seriously missed out, because yes, the high frame rate makes all the difference and makes the 3D so much better. So if there's any way you can actually watch that movie in high frame rate 3D still, in any cinema, anywhere, I seriously recommend you go and do so. And the way the movie flowed, The Desolation of Smaug, it was great, man. It was great the way it flowed. It was action packed all the way through. There was never a dull moment. So to me, that was one of the best movies in the entire Lord of the Rings Hobbit series, if not the best. But as far as this movie, Battle of the Five Armies, it starts off very strong. Very strong. The opening battle sequence is very, very good. It draws you right in. It's got nice 3D, and it picks up right where the Desolation of Smaug left off. But after the initial battle, the movie falls very flat, unfortunately. It doesn't carry on that momentum, and it never really reaches the heights of the opening battle from there on in. Really disappointing. It's not a bad movie by any means. For those of you who have watched all of the Lord of the Rings movies and the previous Hobbit movies, you'll still probably be interested watching it and seeing it through to the end. I was. It's not like I was wishing the film to end. Quite the opposite. In fact, I was disappointed that the movie ended without answering certain questions, because there were certain questions I had, or certain questions I wanted to be answered. So the prequel movies, the Hobbit movies, would tie in seamlessly to the first Lord of the Rings movie. But certain questions I had just didn't get answered. So I was disappointed by that. And overall, the movie's cool. The 3D, not as good as the Desolation of Smaug, but decent, especially in the first third of the movie. It's got some nice 3D effects. But from there on in, after the first third, the 3D is okay. It's decent. I suppose it's worth watching it in 3D, but nothing amazing. Certainly nowhere near as good as the previous film. So yeah, overall, I mean, I have to say I'm not really Lord of the Rings fanatic or nothing like that. I've watched all the movies, but I've never read the books, so I don't really know about the Tolkien mythology and all that kind of stuff, or how faithful the movie is to the books. I don't know. And me personally, I don't really care. But just as a movie itself, it's okay, it's decent, but falls a little bit flat. And I would say overall, this is probably the weakest movie in the Lord of the Rings franchise, including Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, whatever. All 6 movies, this is probably the weakest. Again, it don't make it a bad movie, but just a little disappointing. And you know what it is? Originally, the Hobbit movies were just going to be 2 movies. And I think this movie right here proves that it should have stayed as 2 movies, because it felt like it was stretched too thinly and there wasn't enough content in there. There was just a whole heap of filler and there wasn't that much substance. So I think they should have kept it as 2 movies, but because they're greedy, Warner Brothers, they wanted to stretch it out and make it into 3 movies, when really it should have been 2. So overall, I would say this movie gets a 6 out of 10 from me. That's not a bad score, but in my score system, 6 out of 10 is still watchable, but nowhere near up to the standard of the Lord of the Rings movies or the first 2 Hobbit movies, especially the second Hobbit movie. So yeah, that's my review for The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.